Today we're going over the first summer banner of 2025 in Fire Emblem Heroes. You might want to be prepared for the second summer banner in a few weeks, and I'm gonna assume there's a new emblem hero this month as well. For now though, the Pious summer banner features new alts for Palla, Lapis, Nino, and a harmonic pair of Celica and Serra. Harmonic might not be the best term for that unit though. We'll go over why that is and discuss the other units, stats, and kits too. Summer Palla is the 4-star focus unit for this banner. You can get her at 4 or 5-star rarity. Palla is completing her own weapon triangle by being an axe flyer this time. For stats, Palla's got 41 HP, 49 attack, 18 speed, 46 defense, and 40 res. She has attack and res super boons and is taken after her Valentian ult's min-max low speed spread. We don't get too many flyers with these types of stats, so Palla could be an interesting merge project. For old skills, Palla brings Ignis and attack and defense Rain 3. That skill is on Vita if you want to have extra grails. We still don't have an attack and defense Crux, unfortunately, and who knows if we're going to get a hold guide version. Palla's inheritable axe is pretty decent. Fan and Foliage Plus has 14 might and comes with Times Pulse 3. Each turn, if your special is at max cooldown, you get -1 cooldown. If unit initiates or is near an ally, you get +5 stats and true damage equal to 15% attack. These summer weapons have a fun naming convention, and Fan and Foliage is pretty basic. With built-in Times Pulse, this is the closest you can get to a non-arcane slaying weapon. It's not going to be dependable from looping multiple rounds of combat in the same turn, but cooldown is always a good perk. To go with the cooldown, you get +5 stats and some true damage. Summer Palla brings a new inheritable B skill and its second defense near trace 4. Enables Kanto remaining +1 with a minimum of Kanto 2. Inflicts -4 attack and defense on the foe, and unit deals +7 true damage. Kanto is useful as always, but there are so many other ways to get it now that the near trace B skills seem a little too simple. The B slot is insanely competitive, so near trace usually isn't the first choice. Pretty nice skill for cheaper builds, but yeah, there's not a huge surprise to see a new tier 4 variant being on a seasonal 4-star focus unit. For builds, Fan and Foliage is incredibly nice with momentum for either 2 or 3 cooldown. Palla can proc an instant bonfire, or you can run Haze Slice with the usual Excel pairing. % damage reduction plus flat damage reduction, and momentum adds a follow-up with more true damage. It's a very solid initiation set if you got an extra Sigurd. To get into and out of battle, you can use Brutal Tempest for 3 movement and Kanto distance. Palla can also use Rain Snap or Air Orders for increased mobility. Sticking with the momentum and Fan and Foliage build, if you can get another -1 cooldown, then Palla can potentially use AoE specials. Emblem Mart could work nicely for spamming those AoEs. Palla has a lot of other inheritables you can run. A good old Brave Axe will be fine, but there's also Spring Air Axe, Tropical Conch, Anchor Axe, Axe Devotion, or the Wind Tribe Club. For premium options, the Arcane Giant Axe kinda just is a better Fan and Foliage, so it'll work with the momentum build too. With the new Ice Wall special, a bulky flyer like Palla finally can get an unpierceable % DR special for either phase without using a defensive special. Unfortunately, charging it up will still be an issue unless you have supports like the Near's Valoria of your Fine or Dual Allure. At the very least, the 40% damage reduction will always be there against specials. Now for bulkier setups, you can run Guard Bearing or Gambit for % DR, or you can stack flat damage reduction with Reopening. Fortifications can be fun for distant counter and just more res for Ice Wall. If you do stack flat resistance, you could try to run a skill like Havoc. Discord or Ploy works too, but Havoc can replace our Kanto skill. If Palla can be a tanky frontliner, you can ferry around allies with things like Guidance. For other options, Slight A skills give a follow-up and Assault Force can give 50% DR piercing. Crux will be good with the new Crux Echo also an option. Other supportive C skills can be like Breath of Life 4 or Odd Defense Wave 4. If you're going to go for a general distant counter build, then Palla has the defense to run IO Shield just fine. All in all, Summer Palla is a fun low speed unit. She's got a lot of options, and Fan and Foliage has great synergy with one of the best B skills around. You can directly upgrade to Arcane Giant Axe, or feel free to try out one of the many other inheritable axes. The second summer unit is Lapis. She's doing some spear fishing with a cool pole spear. Summer Lapis would be a Lance Infantry, and for stats she has 41 HP, 45 attack, 48 speed, 35 defense, and 30 res. Lapis has a speed super boon and the pretty standard high speed infantry stat spread. For old skills, Lapis comes with the excellent Haze Slice plus attack and speed excel combo, % damage reduction plus flat DR for initiations. Barely a month old, Lapis also has Potent Finish. This skill offers a potent follow-up with the stronger Finish A score effect, and you get 7 flat DR too. I think someone in Intelligent Systems has my number because I did summon a Bridal Larce last month just to get Potent Finish. I was thinking of giving it to my Demote Lapis once we get another Arcane Sword, but now there's a Lance Lapis with that skill. Feel like I got played. Moving on, Holland Harpoon is a unique 16-man weapon and grants Kanto distance +1. When she triggers Kanto, Lapis can use Distance Swap. This weapon has Slaying, and if initiating or near an ally, you get bonus stats equal to 5 plus the number of allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, times 3. If you have 3 allies in that range, you get +14 to all stats. Lapis will get -1 instant cooldown before her first attack, and she deals true damage equal to the number of foes within 3 spaces of the target, times 8. This will include the target themselves, so there needs to be 3 other enemies to get the max 32 true damage. For defense, Lapis has flat damage reduction equal to 20% speed. She has the Excel type flat DR, so double the amount against specials. Last effect, if initiating and she survives, then after combat, Lapis inflicts 10 damage to foes within 2 spaces, and she inflicts a new Share Spoils Plus status on those foes. Share Spoils Plus is a horrible name because it's kind of misleading. Bridal Lapis inflicted the regular Share Spoils status, and it does exactly the same thing for the Plus version. The enemy loses -5 stats, and their non-special % skills get neutralized fully. If Lapis's team defeats the Share Spoils target, they get an extra action. Now, for Share Spoils Plus, this can only happen once per turn. For the regular Share Spoils, you can get as many extra actions as there are Share Spoils active. The reason Summer Lapis generally has the better effect, though, is that because she inflicts Share Spoils Plus onto multiple enemies. To not let Lapis's team just bounce from one target to the next, it will limit you to 1 extra action for the entire turn. The reasoning is fine, but they really should have just given this a different name. Now, like Bridal Lapis, Summer Lapis will get allies into attack range to actually use Share Spoils. Instead of a large warping zone, Summer Lapis has Kanto with Distance Swap. This can get by warp bubble potentially, but Kanto control will limit Lapis's range. Moving on, Lapis has a new inheritable C skill called Pulse Tempest F. Each turn, the user gets +1 movement. In combat, they get bonus stats based on movement, up to +3 for moving 3 spaces. Last, if using an offensive special, you can get -2 instant cooldown on your first follow-up attack. Pulse Tempest Plus is basically Pulse On plus Tempest. Similar to Assault Rush, you can get movement and cooldown, but Assault Rush gives -1 cooldown on the first attack. Pulse Tempest gives -2 cooldown on the follow-up. Making it to the follow-up attack can be a risk, but with other cooldown effects, you can get double special triggers potentially. Summer Lapis has a very interesting kit. Like her Bridal ult, she can give your team extra actions and you can get them closer to the enemy. Instead of focusing on survivability, this version has more damage potential because she's okay with killing the target. Share Spoils Plus will just splash onto other nearby foes after. Now with Holland Harpoon and Haze Slice's own -1 cooldown, Lapis can trigger that special immediately. This triggers the extra true damage from Potent Finish, and on grouped up enemies, Lapis can get up to 32 true damage from her weapon. To survive counterattacks, Lapis has Haze Slice's 40% damage reduction and 3 flat DR sources. Ideally, she wants no follow-up to double and not get doubled, but with Potent, that can still get Lapis a second attack. This could work against faster enemies too. If she's not stopped, a regular follow-up can deal 100% damage, and Pulse Tempest gives -2 cooldown to charge Haze Slice again. Lapis can then get that third hit from the Potent at 40% damage. In scenarios where her double is prevented or the foe is faster, Potent can potentially give an 80% damage follow-up. This still triggers the -2 cooldown from Pulse Tempest. Very good synergy, although if that doesn't get the KO, then Lapis might get doubled herself. With the Tempest +1 movement and her Kanto plus Distance Swap effects, Lapis can get in and out. She is once again focusing on player phase, so I don't think you need to swap anything out from her kit. You can add a Clash Sacred Seal and maybe Desperation for later fights, or you could just use No Follow-Up as a seal. You could also use a Deflect Seal in case of enemy brave attacks. For attuned X skills, Low Echo's nice, but Tempo Echo can give some DR piercing. If you really want to make a change, you could run Gust, Godlike Reflexes, or Gale Force. Gust plus the Fallen Illyris could be interesting, and maybe you could use Lagu's Friend with Miracle. For fun, you could use Fortifications or Distant Bonus Doubler, but this Lapis is an initiator primarily. If you can get extra movement from elsewhere and you don't mind losing a second special, you could run Panic or Fatal Smoke 4. These would help your Share Spoils targets after. Now Lapis does inflict 10 splash damage with Share Spoils, so you can tack on Savage Blow or Poison Strike type skills as well. In conclusion, Summer Lapis follows in Bridal Lapis's footsteps. She is allowed to KO her target now, and extra actions for allies are always powerful. There is a condition that prevents Share Spoils Plus from stacking with the non-plus version. However, you can inflict both statuses onto different targets or inflict one first, then inflict the other later. This would allow the same ally to get multiple extra actions in the same turn, or you can just send in both Lapises in together, one after the other, then send your other allies in too. The third summer ult goes to little old Nino. With her little beach ball, Nino is a red infantry mage with 38 HP, 46 attack, 48 speed, 24 defense, and 32 res. Nino has a speed super boom and is gonna be a little glass cannony. Now for old skills, Nino's got Flare, though I don't think she's gonna benefit from the healing part much. Her other old skill is perfect attack and speed. No follow-up for the fast attacker is always great. Nino's bouncing ball is a 14 might tome. Every turn if within 2 spaces of an ally, Nino grants +6 attack and speed, debuff neutralization, and hexblade to herself and those allies. Nino has slaying, and if initiating or near an ally, she gets bonus attack and speed equal to 6 plus 20% of her speed stat. Nino can deal true damage equal to 5 times the number of positive statuses active on herself, plus the number of negative statuses active on the foe. If she has 5 advantageous statuses, Nino can get 25 true damage max. For other effects, Nino has 50% DR piercing and any HP desperation for back-to-back attacks. Bounce and Ball is fairly simple. Nino's got nice buffing support and gives herself 2 statuses for her true damage effect. She has partial DR piercing, and Nino's gonna go for a Desperation 2 tap as her defensive measure. Like our Toon's ult, Nino has a unique C skill called Black Fang Bond. She gets Kanto 2, and like Lapis, she can trigger Distant Swap. At the start of each turn, if near an ally, Nino can get +1 movement and the Super Times Pulse effect. She will always bring her special down from the max cooldown by at least 2. In addition to these effects, Nino can inflict -7 speed and res debuffs, exposure, and undefended onto the closest foe. For nearby enemies, they also get hit with everything except undefended. Last, when you initiate or you're near an ally, Nino gets +5 attack and speed and deals 7 true damage in combat. Black Fang Bond is loaded with fun stuff. 3 movement and Kanto with Distant Swap, Super Times Pulse to charge Flare, and Nino has access to the powerful Anti-Savior Undefended status. It's not like there's a scary new armor savior in town or anything. Last up, Nino brings a new skill line, Speed and Res Slow Finish. Like Potent Finish, the name is quite literal. This is slow Speed and Res 4 with the stronger Finish ASCO effect. To review, you inflict -4 speed and res on the foe, and for every positive statuses on the enemy, you get another point of debuffs. The low effect neutralizes speed and res field buffs on the enemy. A new part of the skill is that you get 7 flat damage reduction. For the finish section, when special is ready or has triggered, you get 15 true damage and 7 HP on hit healing. I was not really impressed with the tier 4 lulls, but this is at least an upgrade. I still think the extra debuffs based on statuses needs to be stronger, because if the foe has 4 bonuses, I only get -4 speed and res extra, where they could be getting like +5 to all stats from a single status. Not really fair in my opinion. At least with this new finish version, you get a lot of true damage potentially, and the 7 flat DR is nice. Unfortunately, that's not gonna save Nino. Summer Nino is pretty much a simple glass cannon who uses Desperation for a 2-tap assault. She pre-charges Flare and stacks a lot of true damage from her weapon, low finish, and even her C-skill adds +7 with exposure. In total, that's 57 true damage potentially. With Black Fang Bond, Nino can get 3 movement, and she gets the 5 advantageous statuses for her weapon. She has partial DR piercing, and after combat, Nino can Kanto and swap out. The main draw for this Nino is definitely undefended. Still not the most common effect, but Savior is just unavoidable, literally, and this status can allow you to at least target another enemy without being disturbed by the guy in black armor. Nino does offer some good support perks for her team. You got attack and speed buffs with speed and res debuffs, debuff neutralization, and hexblade is great too. You don't have to change anything with this kit, but Nino could try some other specials. For example, if you can find one more cooldown, you could pre-charge AoEs, you could drop it on an enemy, then Kanto away, though Nino may struggle to recharge unless you plan to use something like Special Spiral. Another option is a new special called Magic Light. The new Celica has this, and it's a 100% DR piercing Luna. Flare technically has the higher scaling, but 100% DR piercing versus 50% piercing could change that. Now, if you want to get a bit cheeky, this Nino could potentially charge Miracle in time before she takes a counterattack. If you use Tempo for no guard, then 2 hits is going to charge Miracle, assuming you initiate and you get Desperation. If you only attack once though, you're going to need 1 more cooldown, though you could also run Lagu's Friend or Loyalty. Unfortunately, this plan can fail into Brave hits, and Nino doesn't loop Miracle in back-to-back fights, plus she is going to need some healing. Overall, Summer Nino will be a fine high damage mage, but she's not going to have any safety if you cannot get the KO immediately. Undefended can help Nino avoid certain units, and in general, it is a nice ability to have for a team. Last unit for today is Harmonic Celica and Serra. Poor May got replaced. This Celica is going to be a colorless mage calf. For stats, Serra's got 40 HP, 48 attack, 47 speed, 20 defense, and 24 res. Celica will have attack and res super boons. For old skills, she's going to come with Slice with Sparrow and the very nice attack and speed Inside Home. This Celica has some interesting quirks. First, starting with her weapon, Pious Offering is a slaying tome. If initiating or near an ally, Celica gets bonus attack and speed and true damage with the same conditions as Nino. For her other effects, Celica can get no follow-up and breath type cooldown. So far, not a very crazy weapon at all. However, Pious Offering allows Celica to use Echo Style. Echo Style takes after Celica's double attacks from Engage, but a little changed up. First off, with this style, it allows Celica to attack from 3 spaces away. To go with that extended range, Celica gets brave attacks, however her damage is going to get cut by 40%. Echo Style will come with similar drawbacks like the other range style moves. Distant counter can retaliate still, and ranged armors are included as well. This skill is treated as a 2-range move for things like Aegis. Last, you can only use it once per turn. Unlike Emblem Lynn's Astral Storm style, Celica is able to move and then attack 3 spaces away. She can outrange and outmaneuver normal units, but distant counter and savior is kinda everywhere, so how strong will this effect actually be? Units with regular might weapons and brave hits are struggling against some of the modern tanks, so only doing 60% of your actual damage is not exactly a great answer. Unfortunately, you can only access the brave hits with this style, and you have to attack from 3 spaces away exactly. Now, there is one standout trait for Echo Style though, and that's unlike Astral Storm style, you're able to use AoE specials. Celica will need a lot of cooldown, but this is an interesting way to use this extended range. Next, I don't even know if we should talk about Celica's Harmonize skill. Before you even look at it, you should know that with Pious Offering and Echo Style equipped, you cannot even access the Harmonize skill at all. Why did the devs give a style to a harmonic unit? I don't know. If you did want to use this skill, you can equip Celica with Emblem Lynn's ring. The 2 styles cancel each other out, and that somehow allows the Harmonize skill to be used. This Harmonize skill will neutralize penalties, restore 40 HP, and grant Resonance Blades to units from Shadows of Lentia or Blazing Blade. Penalty neutralization is actually really strong, but unless you waste Emblem Lynn's ring, you normally can't access this. We joke about bait banners being a thing, and we get meme units sometimes, but if this isn't outright trolling, I don't know what is. Moving on, Celica at least has unique AP skill. Holy Philosophia has a bunch of effects. It enables Kanto Distance, every turn inflict -7 speed, res, sabotage, and discord on the closest foes, and foes within 2 spaces of that. In combat, you're going to inflict -5 speed and res, you're going to deal true damage equal to 20% speed, and Celica gets Miracle, plus she heals after combat to loop it around. This speed skill gives Celica Diva support and good old Miracle to supplement her Glass Cannon status. With Kanto Distance, you can move 3 spaces, Echo Style to attack from 3 spaces away, then retreat 3 spaces. It's pretty crazy stuff. Last new skill for the banner is Magic Light, which we mentioned earlier. This is a new inheritable mage special. It's essentially 3 quid on Luna, but with full DR piercing. That's it. Magic Light is very straightforward. After years of no DR piercing mage specials, they just tossed 2 out there. Frostmoon's 4 cooldown and res focus wasn't great for everyone, so the 3 cooldown Magic Light should be more accessible. If you don't need DR piercing, since a lot of tanks just don't have pierceable DR, then technically Flare can be stronger. That is, unless you are on low HP, then Flare becomes weaker and heals the user. Either way, Magic Light is a nice overdue addition to the game. Harmonic Celica is similar to Nino as a Glass Cannon mage. Instead of Desperation, Celica has Miracle, and she can get 3 range brave attacks, but at the cost of lowering her own damage output. Against meta tanks, only doing 60% damage ain't gonna cut it, when the enemy will lower it again with their own % damage reduction. Now against tanks with only 1 or 2 uses of unpierceable % DR, that's where Celica's quad attacks are hoping to bypass them. However, other units can get brave hits and not lower their damage output, so it's a bit eh. Celica's 3 range would be great if distant counter and savior wasn't an issue, but that's just a general problem, which is why stuff like Undefended can be really useful here. For just general gameplay, the Celica will be fine. She can attack from far away, not die with Miracle, and then retreat far away. She has multiple true damage sources, cooldown to activate her DR piercing special in 2 hits, and just a lot of attack and speed buffs. If you want to alter her build, you could use Flared Sparrow and things like Fatal Smoke or Shadow Shift. For AoE builds, maybe it's not a coincidence that Attuned Alm can give -2 cooldown to Celica. You're still going to need another -1 cooldown, but Alm support would be appreciated a lot. Now if the enemy cannot counter Miracle, you could just chip away at them, then retreat. AoEs, Flared Sparrow, or Savage Blow can all be used for hit and running. If you're worried about units who can retaliate with, say, their own brave hits, you could try Desperation. That's not going to work against Hardy Bearing though. Overall, Harmonic Celica is cool, but extended range is not going to do anything if the enemy is grouped up around a savior. Lowering their own damage output against brave hits is also a little questionable. Now, for unprotected teams or just teams that are spread out, this Celica can pick enemies off. She is safer than her Emblem version, but Miracle is so widespread that people could have counters ready as well. In regards to the Harmonize skill, I don't know what the devs are doing, kinda just a slap in the face to get a Harmonic unit who can't even use their Harmonize skill with their base kit. If you're not decided on if you want to summon, I would suggest waiting. Unless Intended Systems wants to prove us wrong, expect a Emblem hero at the end of the month, and the first banner in July will be a second summer lineup. This first summer banner is going to last for an extended period. You have a lot of time to save up orbs or just wait on making a decision. In the meantime, we have a Tempest Trials ongoing that features Summer Forgato. You can get him for free, and we'll talk about what he can do next time. That's all I have for this video. Thank you for watching, good luck with your summons, and I will see you in the next one.